Welcome to Encountering Christ, a podcast about meeting Jesus in the ordinary moments of life, learning how to invite others into those encounters, and exploring practical ways to recognize Jesus at work in our daily rhythms. Our prayer is that this time helps you see and share Christ more clearly. Today we move forward from the creation of mankind to a deeper understanding of what God created. And I want to start with two questions that introduce the subject. Why did God create two sexes? Can men and women be equal and yet have different roles? When it comes to the question of why two different sexes, let's begin first with the fact that there are two different sexes. Genesis 1:27. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female, he created them. God was very specific and intentional in that he created male and female. Male and female in humanity is no accident, nor is it experimental in nature. God created us male and female on purpose and for a purpose. But what is that purpose? Well, there are two very important answers. The first is multiplication, and the second is relationships. The two answers go together. Genesis 1:28 says, And God blessed them, and God said to them, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it. Two words are there, fruitful and multiply. Let me ask you to think about something. When God looked at Adam and Eve, and you and I for that matter, and said, Be fruitful and multiply, do you think he meant that physically or spiritually? And I think the answer is obvious. He meant both. And both are important toward the purpose of male and female. Obviously, male and female are created by God to come together and have children. There are no other options. When a man and woman come together, the natural result is children, because that is how we are created. But it is more than that. We are built and created for one partner. We are emotionally built that the two shall become one. That's what God said in Genesis 2. For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and they will become one flesh. If you've ever been married, you come to understand what God's intentions were. My wife and I are coming up on our 39th wedding anniversary. My understanding of what God meant was a little different the day of our wedding than it is today. On day one, it was a promise and a commitment I made based on God's communicated intentions with marriage. Today, after almost 39 years, I cannot imagine my life without my wife as my partner. After 39 years, I know her better than any other person has ever known her. The same is true of her toward me. We literally live life together. And there is such a strong bond between her and I that being apart is unfathomable. All of that to say, our bond and oneness go way beyond the physical. Our very souls are bonded together. The word relationship really just doesn't quite cut it. My wife and I have a oneness. We are tied together in the soul, the invisible self. If for whatever reason we were separated by death or some other reason, it would literally result in a loss of who I am. My physical body would be no different, but my soul would be ripped apart. The separation would cause intense pain, which leads me to a very difficult question. What is that bond? Where does it come from? And what makes it so strong? Now here's what I must recognize. God didn't create human beings to be isolated persons. As we are created in his image, he created us to seek and attain interpersonal unity. And when I say interpersonal unity, I speak of who God is. It's important for us to recognize that our marriage relationship is the most glaring opportunity for us to see what God is like. You see, God is a God whose nature is toward interpersonal unity with those he has created in his image. And what does that interpersonal unity feel like? Well, after 39 years of a good marriage, my understanding of it is greater than it has ever been. And I suppose it goes much more beyond even that. Over the last 39 plus years with my wife, I've learned a lot about oneness and having a deep connection. But I think about this. Every human has the capacity or ability to have a very deep relationship with a spouse that takes years to acquire. But here's the question. Where does that ability come from? Well, it comes from the fact that we are created in the image of God. Because we are created in his image, we have the ability to have a deep and oneness kind of relationship because that is who God is. Now let's add the next layer. The Bible opened all of this up for our understanding when it was written into Ephesians 5. First, Paul restates Genesis, and then he gives the purpose of it all. In talking about our human relationship with God, he says this. He says, "For we are members of his body." Now, did you catch that? We are members of his body. For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. This is a profound mystery, but I'm talking about Christ and the church. Now, when you put those three verses together, it opens up an incredible understanding. As that passage is amazing, now think about what it's saying. First, let's think about God himself. I wonder, what is the relationship like between God the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit? We're talking about an eternal oneness without barrier. In addition to that, I wonder what is the relationship like between God and, like, say, Moses. And I'm talking about Moses, who has been in heaven for about 4,000 years now. Now, I know that God has always known Moses perfectly, but I wonder how well Moses now knows God. Now, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that the oneness between God and the resurrected, living in heaven Moses is way beyond the oneness I have in my 39-year marriage with my wife. Moses knows God intimately, personally, and eternally. And he has about a 4,000-year head start on all of us. Now, all of that to say, our capacity for interpersonal unity with God is perhaps the greatest gift we have been given. We can know God deeply and personally. So when we talk about knowing God in a relationship, it is beyond acquaintance. It is meant to be beyond friendship. It is even meant to be way beyond the bond that is formed through years and years of marriage. It is a relationship that is incredible, personal, and life-changing. It is a relationship that is built over the passage of time through experience and togetherness. It is the type of relationship that you could not bear to be without once you have experienced it. So why did God create us male and female? I tell you, it goes way beyond having children. He created male and female so that the two would become one. And why? So that we would experience a relationship in such a way as to give us a small picture of what it means to be one with God. Which leads me to point out a very great challenge to us all. How well do you actually know God? I'm not talking about how much you know about God. You can read about God in a book. I'm asking, how well do you really know God? Do you know him better than your best friend? Do you know him better than your spouse? See, knowing Jesus, knowing God is our greatest gift, our greatest opportunity, and he is willing to reveal more and more of himself to us. All we need do is let him. Now, just like in our earthly relationships, knowing God takes time together. Time with just the two of you and time together as you go. And the more you live your life in a true relationship with God, the greater the bond and love. And how do I know this? Because God created me male and he gave me a wife who is female. And it is with my wife that I learn about a deep relationship of the soul. I can know God as deeply and beyond even that relationship. And that is why we are created. That is one of the reasons we are created male and female. Have a great day.